Welcome again to our YouTube channel. Our God is sufficient for all. Our God is sufficient for all. Fear can become destructive. Fear can destroy. Fear can kill. And fear, when it becomes destructive, is when we obsess and worry continually about what might happen. We are worried about what might happen, and we allow that fear to rule and dominate all aspects of our lives. That fear, as we saw yesterday, can have positive effects in a person, in an individual, but fear can become destructive when we obsess about what may happen or what might happen and allow that fear to dominate and rule all aspects of our lives. Apart from that fear causing some health questions, health issues in our lives, for example, extreme fear can cause increase, for example, of heart rate. The increase of heart rate, how your heart pumps. It can bring issues of blood pressure, tremors. Some can fear until they start sweating. When we fear a lot, when we worry a lot, people grow into anxiety. People have anxiety disorder. Others may have depressions, panic attacks. Some may even have OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. Fear also can cause post-traumatic stress disorder. Maybe you experience something and you still have that fear, maybe from an accident. So you keep on having that fear, worry, anxiety. And when one is under fear, it is not easy to concentrate. Concentrating and having a focused mind is not easy when you are under fear. We have fear that lead to isolation. People isolate themselves because they fear. It is very difficult for a person who is dominated by fear to maintain a good relationship with other people. And fear also can bring reduced productivity in an individual, in a person. A person who was very productive can no longer be productive because of fear. So when we are ruled and dominated by worry and fear of what might happen, and allowing that fear to dominate our lives and rule all aspects of our lives, we start being destroyed. We start being destroyed by that very fear. But the Bible warns us and tells us not to fear. The Bible warns against these kinds of fear. That's why we find phrases in Scripture: fear not, do not be afraid, do not worry, do not fret, do not be anxious for nothing. And when St. Paul was writing to Timothy in his second letter, chapter 1, verse 7, he told him, and also he tells us today, for God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power and love and sound mind. That God has not given us a spirit of fear, but He has given to us what we can claim and use a spirit of power, love, and sound mind. Power, love, and sound mind. But if we allow fear to dominate our life, we lose those three things. We lose power, we lose love, and we lose sound mind. Because we cannot concentrate. We cannot be focused when we are under fear. Our mind is not clear when we are dominated by fear, when we are ruled by fear. So under fear, we lose power, we lose love, and we lose the use of sound mind. That means we must have clear thinking and confidence in all our circumstances as Christians. That Christians, we are called to have a clear mind, a clear thinking, and confidence in all circumstances. And how can we have that? When we eliminate fear. When we eliminate fear, then we can have clear thinking and confidence in all aspects of our lives as Christians. Why? Because we have the spirit of power, love, and sound mind when we eliminate fear. But if we invite fear, we allow fear to rule our lives, we lose that power, we lose that love, and we lose that sound mind. We must be able to distinguish between two things. One, unhealthy kind of fear. As Christians, we must distinguish between one, unhealthy kind of fear, and two, healthy kind of fear. Unhealthy and a healthy fear. What do we mean here? Healthy fear is a fear of reverence. For example, when you say fear God, we are not fearing God because He is a danger to us. No. It's called reverential fear. That we acknowledge how mighty He is, how divine He is, that we are unworthy to be before Him. But when we have unhealthy fear, for example, fear of unknown, that's a very unhealthy fear. You are fearing that which you don't know. Obsessing over fear. And always thinking of what if. When you start dealing with a lot of what ifs, then you stop yourself from being productive. And that is very unhealthy fear. A fear of unknown is unhealthy. Fear of failure is unhealthy. If you have the power to succeed, why do you fear to fail? For success cannot be experienced if you are not clear-minded that when you try something, there are two possibilities. When you undertake a project, there are two possibilities: success or fear. Why don't you choose success instead of choosing fear? That I may fail, and therefore you fear to undertake a project. That's very unhealthy fear. So there are so many examples we can have of unhealthy fear. So we have to distinguish between unhealthy fear and healthy fear. Healthy fear is a fear that we call reverential fear, the fear of God. In this case, when we are talking about fear that can be destructive, fear steals our joy. Unhealthy fear steals our joy, weakens our physical health, destroys our ability to perform. Fear eliminates rational thinking. we become almost irrational. Fear steals rational thinking. Fear makes many of us overlook God's truths. We overlook those truths and those promises God has given to us because we have unhealthy fear. Fear impedes spiritual growth and eventually separates us from God because we start doubting God's ability, God's power, and what God can do. Therefore, we are being invited to eliminate fear. To eliminate fear in our lives. And as the letter of James speaks to us, James 4:8, how do we eliminate fear? We eliminate fear always by drawing near to God. If we draw near to God, He will draw near to us. James tells us, always draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. That means we have to submit all our worries, all our fears, all our anxieties to God in prayer and have confidence in Him. We submit all our fears to Him in prayer. We draw closer to Him and He will draw closer to us. Let us not allow fear to destroy who we are. Either as Christians, as individuals, as human beings, we must eliminate fear because fear can be destructive in our lives. I wanted to talk about that in a short way so that we see that fear can impede our growth, our advancement, our success, our progress, and impede our performance. Fear can kill. Fear can cause a lot of physical illnesses for human beings. Fear can degenerate into depression. Fear can degenerate into OCD. Fear can orchestrate PTSD. Fear can cause one to isolate. Fear can cause one to spoil all the relationships that he has developed or she has developed or she has maintained for a long time. Because of fear, these relationships cannot be maintained. Fear can cause issues with blood pressure, with heart rates increased, can cause panic attacks, and very many other things. Let us eliminate fear by having confidence in God and in the abilities He has given to us. Draw near to God, and He will draw near to you. Let us work to eliminate fear so that we can have a full, enjoyable life, because fear steals joy from us. It weakens our physical health, destroys our ability to perform, and eliminates rational thinking. And it makes us overlook God's truths and promises in our lives. And it impedes our spiritual growth as Christians. Therefore, let us fight against fear by drawing closer to God. And He will draw closer to us, to submit to Him each and every day through prayer. Be in contact with God, and He will help you. May God bless you and always embrace you. See you again. Thank you very much.